All right. Welcome to another deep dive, everybody. Today, we're going to be looking at the stock market, kind of like taking its pulse in real time. We're going to be looking at a snapshot of how some stocks are performing literally from just minutes ago. And to do that, we've got a fresh batch of headlines hot off the financial newswire.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to see what's going up, what's going down, what's catching people's eyes. And I think it should be a pretty interesting look at kind of what's going on out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's going to be really interesting to see, what stories are kind of bubbling up. So right off the bat, we see some big names.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like Electronic Arts. And they're exceeding expectations.
Yeah.
Which, isn't really a huge surprise.
Right. They're a big player.
But then we see Match Group.
Yeah.
They seem to be falling a little bit behind.
Uh-huh.
Then it's not just tech, of course.
Oh.
We've got Ford facing some challenges, even though they had some pretty solid earnings. Yeah. Then we see transportation companies like Old Dominion Freight Line. They're actually doing really well.
Yeah. It's, one of the most fascinating things I think about all this is just how these headlines kind of give you a quick look into the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The things that kind of really drive the market, the bigger economic trends.
Right.
But then also some of the things that are happening with individual companies. It's almost like trying to, read the market's mind one headline at a time.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's kind of unpack this a little bit. You mentioned outperforming and underperforming.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember those terms aren't just about how much a stock goes up or down in a day.
Right, exactly. It's not just about that daily movement. It's about how a company is actually doing compared to what people were expecting.
Right.
And also how it's doing compared to other companies in the same industry.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So you could have a company, that posts some really strong earnings, like we saw with Ford, but investors might have been expecting even better numbers.
Right.
Or they might be worried about something that could happen in the future, something that could cause problems down the road. And because of that, the stock might actually drop.
Which is exactly what we see with Ford.
Yeah.
Earnings were good, but there's still a problem. Like they just announced that they're temporarily shutting down their electric truck plant.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that.
Because of some issue with the batteries. And it just makes you think, what else could be going on?
Yeah.
What else might we not be seeing right now?
Yeah, that's a really good example of how, stock prices aren't just about what's happening right now.
Right.
They're about what people think is going to happen in the future.
Expectations.
Yeah. And this shutdown, it definitely raises some questions about, whether Ford can really ramp up their electric vehicle production. Can they actually make enough to meet demand?
Right.
And can they compete with companies like Tesla? Especially in a market like electric vehicles where there's already so much competition.
A tough market.
Yeah.
So while Ford's trying to navigate all of that, other companies like Old Dominion Freight Line, they're in the transportation sector.
Right.
And they seem to be doing really well.
Yeah.
Why might that be?
Well, the fact that they're doing so well could mean a couple of things.
Okay.
One possibility is that there's just really strong demand for what they do, which could be a good sign for the economy as a whole. If goods are moving around, steadily, that usually means things are going pretty well.
That makes sense.
It could also mean that they're handling all the supply chain problems better than some of their competitors.
Oh, interesting.
Which would definitely give them a leg up, in the market.
That's really fascinating. So in just a few minutes, I feel like we've gotten such a good sense of not just how dynamic the market is, but really what drives stock performance.
Yeah, definitely.
And the stories behind those numbers. It's really interesting.
Absolutely. And, it all kind of leads to a question for anyone who's listening. If you were an investor looking at all of this, which company would you be most interested in? Would you be drawn to the potential of, a big tech company like EA? Or would you be more intrigued by the challenges that a company like Ford is facing as it tries to move into this new era?
Yeah, that's a great question to think about. It really is. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive. I think it was really interesting, and we'll catch you all next time.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.